What do you do if the full weight of the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI and the fraud unit is looking into your marriage? Your marriage is already deemed to be potentially fraudulent. They're flagging it for investigation. And if they determine that the case is fraudulent, then the green card will be confiscated, the case will be closed, and there will be a bar to ever entering the US again. How do you win this case? Let's get to it. Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Zhang Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the legal problem in this case is that the case was being investigated. After the client filed the normal 751, there was an interview, and the Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, determined that the case is potentially fraudulent, handed it over to the investigation unit. The FBI was involved because there are so many issues with this particular case. So we need to overcome and prove that the marriage is real. Now, there's no divorce, but there's a lot of problems with the case. The wife, who is a foreigner, is from Philippines, has a complicated immigration history in her family background. So that's one thing. Then she married a US citizen that lived in multiple states. There's also complications with the US citizen's financial history. So USCIS deems this US citizen to be susceptible to potentially bribery. So there's multiple red flags in this case. The foreigner, the US citizen, as well as this complicated family arrangement. So they've already been married for 2 years. They filed the case. After the interview, it's deemed to be suspicious. They were under a 2-year to 3-year investigation before USCIS issues a second request for evidence and calls for a second interview after they reviewed everything. So during this entire process, we've been helping them. It's just such a unique situation. And so the USCIS officers just couldn't believe their case is real. And so this is what we did to help them improve their case. The first thing we did was we disclosed everything in the initial 751 application. If you try to hide certain things and USCIS finds out on it, then that's almost a guarantee for a challenge, a noid, a denial. It will be a nightmare. But we disclosed, yes, the US citizen lives in multiple states. Yes, because he has multiple businesses and they have to travel and they spend time apart. But that is their marriage arrangement. And they're used to doing that. They've been dating for so long. They've been married for so long. Yes, they don't have kids. Yes, they don't have pets. But that is just their life. The next thing we did was we knew the USCIS was going to take this application and hand it over to a fraud investigation and FBI doing background checks. They're going to, unannounced, send an agent to the workplace or the home or somewhere where they are residing together and check if they are actually living together. So we had to really coach the client, and all of these different addresses at any given time, they will show up. The worst case scenario is that on a wrong day at the wrong time, an agent shows up, asks the wrong person the wrong information, and it was just haphazardly answered, and then bam, it's over, right? For example, what if an agent shows up at your workplace, talks to a secretary, and the secretary says, no, I didn't know he was married. That would be really bad, right? So first of all, everybody should know that you are married. On your work desk, do you have a picture of your spouse, right? In your wallet, do you have a picture of your spouse? There are certain different things that you want to prepare for, right? Your landlord, where you're renting from, are both people's names on the lease? Make sure everybody knows. Yes, it's kind of crazy that you want to just kind of do public display of affection literally everywhere with everyone, but you need to do that if you're under investigation, just because you don't want the wrong person to be answering the wrong thing. And that's exactly what happened in this case. The Homeland Security officers went to the leasing office and announced they are from the Homeland Security. They needed to check on this particular address and the lease, and they want to see whose name was on it. After they found out that both people's names were on it, then they asked, well, who actually lives there? And they said, oh, these people live there. They just seem like any ordinary couple. Then the agent went to the apartment and then knocked on the door. The US citizen was actually there. When the agent entered, they were able to see the entire apartment. The toothbrush was there. The underwears were there. They wanted to double check these things actually existed. Then the fraud investigator wrote out a report, sent it back to USCIS. After USCIS officer reviewed the report saying, okay, the officers did go unannounced, saw all these things, looks legitimate, now it's time to call for a second interview, right? And so by this time, the second interview, it's already been 5 years of marriage. Then they got together, they're very confident, and they wanted to demonstrate everything. One of the key problems with this case is that they're living apart, and it seemed like the US citizen was susceptible to bribery. Well, then we had all these documents to show he's actually quite a successful businessman, and to showcase that, showing all the credit card statements of all the gifts the US citizen bought the Filipino foreigner, right? And so these are expensive bags. We're talking about Chanel. These are $1,000 bags that the husband would buy for the wife. And they live together, they have a very lavish lifestyle, and yes, they don't exactly live together the entire time, but every marriage is unique. And after demonstrating 5 years of strong marriage, USCIS finally approved the case, and this was after an FBI investigation. And of course, the clients are super happy because finally this chapter has ended. It's so painful to be investigated because you never know what's going to happen, and you're always living in this fear. You know you're being watched, but you don't know when and where they're going to show up. Finally, this chapter is over. They're able to get their permanent green card, and then they're going to apply for citizenship and then eventually travel the world. If you have any questions about complicated marriage cases that's filing for 751 or 751 waiver like this, or you potentially are being investigated or potentially are investigated, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye.